Hare Krishna, buongiorno, everyone. Good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to Sri Chaitanya Shashma, the Mott West Side. And yeah, we're happy that you're here. Thanks for staying with us. We're kind of experimenting with this format of reading a whole book. And the book is wonderful and perfect and beautiful and inspiring and life-giving, but at the same time, listening to someone read for a long time can be a little demanding. So we appreciate everyone coming to join us, and we especially appreciate our wonderful translators for their inconceivable, to me, service of trying to translate. And today is Akshaya Tithi, so it's a very auspicious day to renew ourselves in Krishna consciousness, a new beginning. So we'll have a new beginning today. And we were hearing from Suresh Prabhu earlier that today in India would be the day to buy mangoes, the beginning of the mango season, to buy mangoes and offer them at the temple, at the home altar, as the wonderful beginning of the mango season. But here in London, we have our mango trees are giving mangoes all year round. So we had a big box of mangoes donated. So the Lord has been having his mangoes for some time now. Just see the opulence. Hare Krishna. Um, we were hearing last week how many things, and the last quite small chapter was Srila Guru Maharaj talking about the different philosophical ideas. Six Philosophies of India was the name of that chapter. Short chapter, and he briefly described the different schools of thought, Sampradaya schools existing with India, or at least the main ones. Of course, there's many. Every philosophical and religious conception has some kind of root in India. And now we're moving to a longer chapter called Beyond Christianity, a very wonderful chapter. So we'll press on without further ado, put my glasses on, and then we'll pause here and there. And please, if you have questions or comments, let us know. We like participation, and it gives us some more added life to interact and to share together. But we're here to read, so we shall. It's page 91 in this edition of the book, Beyond Christianity. And we hear in the following conversation, Srila Śrīdhar Maharaj compares theistic beliefs with some Christian students from America. So the Christian asks, can you explain the Vaishnava viewpoint of Christianity? Can you explain the Vaishnava view of Christianity? And Śrīdhar Maharaj says, Christianity is incomplete Vaishnavism, not full-fledged, but the basis of devotional theism. We find the principle of die to live there to a certain extent, at least physically. The Christians say that the ideal shown by Jesus is self-sacrifice. In our consideration, however, that is not full-fledged theism, but only the basis. It's an unclear, vague conception of Godhead. We are for him, but how much? And in what shape? In what attitude? All these things are unexplained and unclear in Christianity. Everything is hazy, as if seen from far off. It does not take any proper shape. The cover is not fully removed, allowing us to come face to face with the object of our service. The conception of service to God is there, and a strong impetus to attain that, so the foundation is good. but the structure over the foundation is unclear, vague, and imperfect. And the Christian says, Christians like the idea of surrender, service, and giving everything to God. And Srila Śrīdhar Maharaj asks, yes, that is common, but surrender to whom? Christian. Christians say that Jesus is the only way. Srila Śrīdhar Maharaj, yes, and his way is die to live, but what for? What's our positive engagement? What is our positive attainment? What is our positive engagement in the Lord's service? We must not only submit in gratefulness to the highest authority, but we must have a direct connection with him and 100% engagement in his service. Simply going on in our own way, praying, oh God, give us our bread, going to the church once a week is not sufficient. 24-hour engagement is possible in full-fledged theism. God can engage us 24 hours a day. We must attain that position, full engagement with him. Everything else is subordinate to that position. And then the Christian asks, there are some Christian traditions that are very similar to Krishna consciousness. And Maharaj replies, they are very akin in their foundation. We agree that we must sacrifice everything for God. But who is he? And who am I? And what is our relationship? Christianity gives us only a hazy conception. In the Christian conception, when Adam and Eve were surrendered, they had no problems of life. But then they tasted the fruit of the tree of knowledge, calculation of self-interest, and they fell and were forced to live a life of labor. Only a general idea of our relationship with God is given there. But when we have to define in detail the characteristics of God and in which relationships to approach him, Christianity only gives us a hazy idea. Once some Christian priests told our Guru Maharaj that Madhurya Rasa, conjugal relationship with God, is also found within Christianity. In the Middle Ages, there was a fashion amongst the Christians to consider Christ as a bridegroom. And some parable is also given where Lord Jesus Christ is considered as a bridegroom. So they say that Madhurya Rasa, the consort relationship, is also found within Christianity. Srila Prabhupada, Saraswati Thakur, told them that is with his son, with his devotee, not with God. Son means Guru, the deliverer. Their conception of God is the Trinity, God the Father, God the Son, and God the Ghost, Spirit. The Ghost is perhaps considered to have the highest position. If it is so, then Christianity ends in Brahmavad Niveshesh. Do you follow? Christian, yes, I think you explained before that Brahman means the impersonal aspect of God's existence. Śrīdhar Maharaj, God the Father means God the Creator. God the Son is Guru, and God the Ghost perhaps holds the supreme position in Christianity over the Father conception and over the Son conception. If that is the case, then their understanding goes to impersonal Brahman. I was told that once in a drama in Germany, they had to show the figure of God. So in some high position on a balcony, they put a figure of grave nature with a grey beard commanding from there. God the Father was shown like that. That is their idea, the fatherhood of Godhead, a grey-bearded old man as God. But from the consideration of rasa and ananda, ecstasy, God should be the center of all different relationships, including sonhood and consorthood. To conceive of God as our Father is an incomplete understanding, for parents are also servitors. He must be in the center, not in any extremity of the whole. He is not simply watching over the whole. The conception of Krishna is that of God in the center. Of all approaches to God, the approach for a loving relationship is supreme. The intensity of that relationship is to be considered, and God must be at the center of all loving relationships. Anandam Brahmano Vivant. Ananda is the most precious thing ever discovered, and the full representation of the highest Ananda should be considered as the highest absolute, which can attract everyone, not by power, not by force, but by charm. The center of all attraction is Krishna. His attraction is by beauty, by charm, and by love, and not by coercion and force. That is the Krishna conception of Godhead. How are we doing, everyone? Everyone with us? Everyone good? Any questions or anything? Okay, then we'll continue. The Christian asks, Christians are afraid to go beyond Jesus because Jesus has warned us about cheaters. Śrīla. I'm not speaking about the Christian. I'm speaking about Jesus, who has given the ideals of Christianity. I am speaking about the principles of Jesus. He has given some understanding by installments, but not full knowledge. We agree about the strong foundation of theism. Jesus was crucified because he said, everything belongs to my Father. Render unto Caesar that which is Caesar's, and render unto God that which is his. So the foundation is very good. It is laudable, but that is only the first installment of the theistic conception. Who is my Lord? What is his nature? Who am I? What is my inner self? And what is my connection with him? How can I live continuously in his memory and service? The conception that we are meant for him, that designed and destined for him, is laudable, but it must be clarified. We must attain the highest position. All these things are absent in Christianity. Only sacrifice for the Lord is given, and that is all right. It's the basic necessity of the soul. But after that, what is to be achieved? They are silent. Christian, they are afraid to go beyond Jesus. Yes, but there is so much grace, so much love in divinity that God can sit on our lap and embrace us. A much more intimate connection is unfolded in Vaishnavism. But if we are afraid to cross the fundamental advice of Jesus, then we become sahajas, imitationalists. We must risk everything for our Lord and make our position firm in his service. We must die to live. And what is living? We have to analyze what real life is. And if without dying, we want to drag God into our fleshy play, then we become sahajas, imitationists. We must cross the threshold given by Jesus. He has declared, die to live. The Lord's company is so valuable to us that we must risk everything for him. This material achievement is nothing. It's all poison. We have no attraction for it. We must be ready to leave everything, all our material prospects and aspirations, including our body, for him. God is great, but what is his greatness? What is my position? How can I engage myself in his service 24 hours a day? Here, Jesus is silent. We receive no specific program from the Christians at this stage. So Vaishnavism comes to our heart's relief to satisfy our inner necessity, whatever it may be. Our inner thirst will be quenched there. You may be conscious or unconscious of the many demands within you, but they will reach full satisfaction in its most beautiful form there alone. It is not only that from far off we shall show God some reverential salute, but we can have him in a very intimate way. The ideal of an intimate, loving connection with God has been given by Vaishnavi, especially by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, by Srimad Bhagavatam, and in Vrindavan, a land of Krishna. The feeling of possessing anything here in the material world cannot be real. It's a perverted reflection, but that feeling must be present in the original world. Otherwise, what is its origin? From where do the different feelings of necessity within us come? They must be present in the causal world, for everything is emanating from Krishna. So the hankering of every atom of our body, mind, and soul will receive its greatest fulfillment there. This understanding is given by Vaishnavism, by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, by Srimad Bhagavatam, and by Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita. Everything good? Any questions?
Just a comment, and actually, like, looking forward to your reflections on it. It reminds me of, I mean, I think many of us can relate to this journey of coming from Christianity and then coming to Krishna consciousness. And I think, you know, I always love to hear stories from our friends that are in different faiths, different traditions, and have so much appreciation for those have established their relationship with God through those traditions, but then come to Krishna consciousness and have to find a place for that previous expression of faith within Krishna consciousness. And it's very interesting to hear about that. Even I remember speaking to you before where you said, actually, I had to
Recalibrate, readjust.
Yeah. Yes, and I you know, there's an attachment to Jesus that's established, you know, that's a devotional connection, but then Guru Maharaj explains we progress and go deeper with a more intimate relationship with God.
But then to have that faith to go and not feel like they're sacrificing, because, you know, we're really taught like chastity to guru. Stay like, you know, they could feel the same. Like, I need to be chaste to Jesus and not, but like it's something deeper inside that really is not satisfied. But, you know, then he's giving so much reassurance, like, yes, you know, your inner hankering must be, but it's such a risk.
Yeah. But then we also read in Brihad Bhagavatamrita, right? The development and kind of wanting to pursue, go deeper, and then being there for a while, but then not being fully satisfied and wanting to have a more intense relationship with God.
And at that time, I think I had to I think I just had to like ask forgiveness. I said, I'm not leaving you, your teachings, but I just want to go deeper. So, because we have that upbringing of Christianity quite strongly in my family.
Yes.
So, you know, pictures of Jesus, altars and all that, going to church very regularly and everything. And so like, I had that conflict. And you have to like, I have to, not leaving you, your teachings are there as a foundation. I just need to go a bit deeper in my understanding of spiritual life.
Joy.
So
Wonderful, wonderful comments. Keep joy. Yes, I'm very happy. Wasn't that beautiful? The devotees churning a little bit. So wonderful. Yeah, we're very fortunate. I mean, all of us are from Western backgrounds. So whether we were brought up in a Christian household or not, that Christian culture kind of pervades our culture, in its art, in its literature, in its history. So we were fortunate because we sort of already had embedded within us culturally the idea that there's one God, that it's about love, not jnana. We didn't have any independent path where simply by studying and you could get to another kind of liberate. We didn't have any of that. There's one God, God is love. You know, these things which are so helpful in approaching Vaishnavism. If you were brought up in India, you have a whole different range of things that you have to deal with. And we've heard that from many of our Indian guests because they grow up in Hindu families where often, you know, then there's so many millions of devatas and the family are worshipping here and there and everywhere, and they have attachment and affection for Mother Saraswati or Ganapati and so on. And then then they have to adjust. Not only that, but all the different paths of yoga, of nyaya, of so many things to all these places that from the Christian basis, none of that was there. So we're very fortunate in many ways. And it's funny that Pandita brought up Brihad Bhagavatamritam, because Guru Maharaj is going to mention the Brihad Bhagavatamritam and the Sri Krishna Samhita of Bhaktivinoda Thakur later in the chapter, which are kind of similar in their explanations of gradation. And every level is valid and has its place by the will of the Lord, and how you know, just so the student passes the junior school class and then goes to the next class, and with no disrespect to the junior teacher will go on. And Guru Maharaj also cautions as well and says, you know, we should stick to our position with full faith and sincerity, and we should not move very easily. But when it becomes obvious and apparent and internally that I have to move, then nothing should stop us from moving. And I remember, you know, bringing it a little closer to home, you know, how she called Saga Maharaj, right? He was Akshayananda Maharaj in ISKCON, and he had been the president of the Krishna Balaram temple in Vrindavan. And I'd stayed in that temple very happily. Beautiful, beautiful temple of Srila Swami Maharaj. And it just hit me one day that when the time came and that pushing came, as the temple president of Vrindavan, Krishnavan Temple, he walked out that gate, and Janardhan Maharaj, the same. He walked out that gate and left it all behind to come to the feet of Guru Maharaj. Now, it's not exactly the same analogy because it's still within our sort of, but it's the same sort of gut wrenching. Am I doing the right thing? Am I being am I being unchaste to Srila Prabhupada? All these things. Who wouldn't have those kind of feelings?
So many of our pillars have done the same.
Yeah, exactly. Many. Yes, many. There's many. I was just thinking of those. But there are many examples of that.
We have a question from Ananda Surupini Didi. She says, Dandava devotees, I didn't follow properly. Why would limiting our beliefs to Jesus' teachings be sahajaism?
Well, it's progressive movement. So if we're moving with that progressive mood and learning and growing with those fundamentals of surrender to the Lord, cultivating that kind of consciousness, then that's healthy and the upward movement is progressing. When we're being pushed to go deeper, that we're always being told by Guru Maharaj to dive deeper into reality, but we ignore that because of our attachment to the external institutions, formula, those things, then we've stepped out of the living current and into a show.
Yeah.
That's the reason. And I always remember Sudarshan Prabhu because, he was born when his parents, Sri Govinda then and Adi Sri Lekha, it was the time of Srila Prabhupada. So they, he had his darshan and so many things. So he was a little boy. So he was brought up in that environment and he was in Gurukul in Vrindavan at some point. Anyway, so he grew up in that institution. So to him, Krishna consciousness means this. At 4:30 in the morning, you sing Sangsara Dharma Nalalita Loka while the puja is going on, the Mangal Arati, and then at 7 o'clock, the loudspeakers come on with Govinda Maripurusham, and we greet the deities, and then we sing, Tulasi Krishna Prayasi Namo Namo, like that. And he said when he first came to the mat, his mind just exploded because it's all wrong. No, we don't. It's the wrong song. You're singing the wrong song. We sing this. And it was an adjustment. Like, oh, it doesn't have to look like that. It could look like this, or it could look like something else. But by that stage, he and all the family were, coming up, coming to the association of Srila Guru Maharaj and Srila Govinda Maharaj, and so we don't. And it comes again to Brihad Bhagavatamrita, Sri Krishna Samhita, this internal development to dive deep. And dive deep includes all the institutional dams and dikes that Bhaktivinoda Thakur calls them, that we've created to facilitate, but and they're perfect while they're doing that. But if they're not doing that anymore, then to be wary that am I just, Guru Maharaj always saying, we heard from David Shish Prabhu the other day that, I can't remember the exact quote. He was talking about Guru, Sadhu and Shastra, right? to find what is correct, then it has to be in consonance with Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. And then he added that Guru Maharaj added, and your own conscience, your own inner. It can't be escaped. It's wonderful, and but it's a fine thing that we. So I hope that answers your question, Ananda Swarupini, but that's what I think Guru Maharaj is meaning. But anyway. Okay, let's.
We didn't hear that. What was that?
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, molto bene. Okay, so we're starting a new little section inside the chapter called Bhagavad Gita, its history and teachings. So the Christian asks, I've heard of the Bhagavad Gita. What is the history of its origin? Śrīdhar Maharaj, in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna tells Arjuna, what I am saying to you now is not a new thing. I have already told this to Surya, the sun god, and he delivered it to Manu, the father of man. In this way, this knowledge descended in disciplic succession, and by the influence of time, it was finished. Again, I am repeating that ancient knowledge to you. This, and then Srila Guru Maharaj says, this refers to karma yoga. Don't care about the result, good or bad. Go on with your duty. Then you can have general peace of mind. Christian, what is the message of the Bhagavad Gita? Guru Maharaj, there are different stages of education imparted in Bhagavad Gita. Bhakti Yoga, Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Astanga Yoga. So many different layers of theism. But pure devotional theism begins where Krishna says, Sarva dharman parityagya. Give up your affinity to all other activities, whether religious or non-religious, and wholly surrender to me. Don't try to push your demands on me, but ask me what will be most beneficial for you. And what shall I do on your behalf? Fully surrender to me, and I will give myself to you. And then he continues speaking as Krishna is speaking. All these other methods and their prospects are more or less effective and valuable, but don't aspire after anything but me. That will be your highest prospect. To want me, to have me, to live in me, to do what I say, to enter into my own personal family in my private life. That will be your highest attainment. Don't aspire for anything else from me. The comparative study of all religious aspirations will show that the highest inner necessity may be satisfied by entrance into my personal private dealings. Hare Krishna. Christians think that if we are to be sincere, we should follow the Bible. We take very literally the word of Christ. Śrīdhar Maharaj. Yes, according to one's capacity, he may be enlisted in a particular class. Some will go to Christianity, and after finishing that, if their hankering is still unsatisfied, they will seek somewhere else, thinking, what is God? I want to know more perfectly. In this regard, I can give one example. There was a Professor Nixon in England. He went to fight against Germany in the First World War on the French side. As he was flying over the German lines, his airplane was hit and began to fall. He saw that the plane would fall on the German lines. When I met him here in India, he told me, at that time I prayed, if there is any God, let him save me. And I promise that if I do not die in this plane crash, I will go to search after him. I will devote my whole life in search of him. The plane crashed. And when Professor Nixon regained consciousness, he found that he was behind the French lines in a hospital in France. At that time, he thought to himself, there is a God. He has heard my last prayer. When his wounds were healed, he went straight to England to see some churchmen. He told them, I want to search after God and engage myself 24 hours a day in the cause of his service. I want to see him face to face. He saw many clergymen and even some bishops, and they ultimately advised him, if you want to see God face to face, then go to India. We cannot recommend such a process to you, but we have heard that in India, there are yogis who internally connect with the Lord in the heart. You may try your fortune there. They would have been interesting clergymen to meet. So he came here to India, where he met the Vice Chancellor of Lucknow University. In talking with him, Professor Nixon met the Vice Chancellor's wife, who was a Gaudiya Vaishnava and a devotee of Mahaprabhu. Not the Vice Chancellor, his good lady wife. He was so much charmed by her advice that he accepted her as his guru. Finally, he took sannyas, the renounced order of life, and his name became Swami Krishna Prema. Jai Swami Krishna Prema. He established a temple here in India and preached about Bhagavad Dharma and Mahaprabhu. He made a comparative study of all religions, beginning from Christianity, and gradually came to Vaishnavism, attracted by Mahaprabhu's gift. One German scholar also said, in all the religious conceptions of the world, the conception of 24-hour engagement with God, Ashtakaliya Leela, has never been given. I have studied all religious theologies, but none could even conceive of 24-hour service to the Supreme Lord. It's only given in Srimad Bhagavatam. Rupa Goswami has given the scientific representation of Krishna. Akila Rasamrita Murti. He is the reservoir of all possible pleasures, all possible tendencies for satisfaction that we may feel, and even those that we may not feel, are present in Krishna and have their ideal, purest satisfaction with him alone. He is all accommodating and all comprehensive. Whatever satisfaction our inner heart demands can be fulfilled only by him. Some Christians are so much afraid to go beyond the Bible that they will not even make a study of other theistic beliefs. Srila Maharaj, according to one's capacity, he will purchase in the market. In the market, there may be valuable things, but the buyer must have some capacity to purchase them. The rishis, the tradesmen of knowledge, have gone so far as to say, this is the highest, go no further. Similarly, Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Svadhamini dhanam shreya paradharmo bhayavaha. Don't go ahead, you'll be doomed. Take your stand here, go no further. Why is such a warning given to us? Generally, our teachers advise us, pay full attention here, only then will you understand everything completely, and your march to the end point will be sincere and satisfactory. Otherwise, sahajaism, imitationalism, will enter your heart. Do you think that in one leap you can capture the summit of a hill? It's impossible. You must march, but your march must be sincere. You must make real progress, not imitative progress. This warning is given at every stage of life. This is the highest for you. Give your whole attention to this. Don't be absent-minded and haphazard in your study. Engage yourself fully in this lesson, and the next higher stage will come to you automatically. As a matter of policy, we are told that our present stage of instruction is the highest. When a professor comes to teach a child, he will accept the mentality of the child. He will say, only this far, no further. This is the final stage. Give your whole attention to understand this point. And when that is finished, then go further. In this way, by gradual installments, knowledge is revealed. Question. So there are different stages for different persons? Guru Maharaj, Bhaktivinoda Thakur has given his decision in his Tattva Sutra that although when Bhagavad Gita was spoken to Arjuna, he engaged himself in fighting, had it been Uddhava in place of Arjuna, after hearing the conclusion of Bhagavad Gita where Krishna says, give up everything, surrender to me, Uddhava would have accepted this and gone away from the warfare. Upon hearing the same advice, Arjuna acted in one way, but Uddhava would have acted in another. After hearing the first installment of Krishna's instructions, Arjuna tells Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, Jayasi chet kamanas te mata buddhi janadana, tatkim kamani ghore mam niyojayasi keshava, vamshirene vakyena, buddhim mohayasiva me, tadikam vadanischicha, yeno sheoham apnuyam. So this is Arjuna saying to Krishna, you say that jnana, knowledge, is better than karma, work. Why then do you want me to engage in this dreadful karma of fighting? And Krishna says, you have your capacity in karma. Finish your career, and then you can aspire to come to the level of jnana, inquiry into knowledge. It's not a cheap thing to transcend all activity and attain naishkamya, freedom from karma. Just finish the course of your karma. Then you will become free from karma. And gradually you will develop transcendental knowledge and devotion. So I say, this is Krishna speaking, so I say, engage yourself in this present fight. Fighting is not recommended for everyone, but for you and men of your section. Christian, in your opinion, what stage of God realization should people be advised to follow? Guru, Krishna consciousness should be preached in a general way, and people will come according to their inner response. Some may even come to attack us. The communists will say, no religious preaching is allowed here. It's all theoretical. You neglect the concrete world and take the abstract to be everything. By hearing this, the people will suffer, so we won't allow it. That's one stage. Beginning from there, there are so many stages. If you preach to a crowd, those who find a response within their inner hearts will come to you according to the degree of their realization. Their inner demand will bring them in contact with an agent of truth. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj went to the West and preached, and so many converted to Krishna consciousness. How was it possible? They were not Gaudiya Vaishnavas, but they felt some inner affinity. While wandering in this world, everyone is gathering some new experience, some new taste. According to the degree of his awakenment, one will respond to a preacher in his own layer. According to his degree of his awakenment, one will respond to a preacher in his own layer. He will find, oh, after so long, I see that there is the possibility of an outlet for the urge I found in my heart. There is a plane that can satisfy that aspiration of mine. I must connect with him and inquire of that land of my dreams. In this way, they will come to seek the association of devotees. Birds of a feather flock together. According to their inner taste, they will come together and go on with their duties in that plane, at that pace, until from there they can go further to a higher position. Sometimes in the same life, one may change his creed and go higher, and sometimes one may wait until his next birth. I don't know, I was just thinking of when I read the first book I read of Srila Guru Maharaj. I just felt like that, you know, read Sri Guru and his great. I'm sure it must be the same for most devotees. When you first hear from Guru Maharaj and Srila Guru, it's just revelatory. It's like a light switch going on, or something like that. Anyway, then Horosho. Then the Christian asks, if the quality of preaching is too high, people may be discouraged. Guru Maharaj says it may be too high for one and too near for another. It is not too high for all, for if it was, then how would conversion be possible? So many people are becoming Mohammedans, Christians, and Hindus. All Christians were not born Christians. How were people first attracted to become Christians? There arose in their hearts the hankering for Christianity. When Achyutananda Swami, the first disciple of Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj, went to my birthplace here in Bengal, that is Hapanyadam, a headmaster asked him, we are so near and we cannot appreciate the teachings of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. How is it that from such a far-off country you have come to sacrifice your life for the service of Sri Chaitanya Dev? Achyutananda Swami answered, Brahmanda Brahmita Kona Bhagyavana Jeev. We have to acquire this capacity. We have to acquire this capacity during the course of our wanderings in different positions throughout the creation. We are wandering from this land to that land, from this species to that species, and in the course of that, we gather some sukriti, pious credits. Agyata sukriti means unknowingly and unconsciously. Our energy is spent in the service of the Lord. And the reaction comes in the form of some pious credits. And when sukriti is more developed, it becomes gyata sukriti, or pious activities knowingly performed. Then shraddha, faith, our inner attraction for the universal truth comes to the surface. In this way, it may develop from any stage. Even a beast may feel the tendency to serve Krishna. In Vrindavan, so many living beings, trees, beasts, even the water, have acquired their position by consciously desiring it. Although they have accepted an apparently material pose, they eternally hold that position in the service of Krishna. We're just charging ahead with this book. Is everybody good?
Any questions over there?
Coming on.
Anonymously. We always enjoy an anonymous question from Shreyesh Prabhu. So, Way of the Pilgrim. Christian, there is one book called The Way of the Pilgrim. about a Christian who chants the name of Jesus on beads. Guru Maharaj says, yes, the Catholics also use beads. Some Christians may chant the name of Christ. Christian, this man was chanting the name of Jesus. His heart was growing soft and he was feeling ecstasy, great love for Jesus. Guru Maharaj, then he may attain the position of Jesus at most. It may be that in his attempt for perfection, his growth is finished there, in the eternal paraphernalia of Jesus. He may remain there. If he has found his fullest satisfaction, then he's fated to be there. By the will of God and by the powerful will of an exalted devotee, even from the impersonal Brahman effulgence, one may be roused from his slumber and moved to action in devotional service. Generally, they pass long ages there in the non-differentiated plane, satisfied with their spiritual attainment. However, in the consideration of infinite time, nothing is very great or spacious. They may remain holding that position for a long time. So many dissolutions and creations may come and go, but the possibility remains that their slumber may be broken at any time. Since time immemorial, this created world has been in existence, and so many souls are ascending to the Brahman effulgence and again descending. So even in the midst of the infinite Brahman effulgence, some souls are coming out. It's a question of infinity. So the position of Jesus may be considered as eternal, and the time may come when Jesus himself may be converted into Vaishnavism. It's not impossible. Christian, do you think that Jesus had awareness of Krishna as the personality of Godhead? And then Śrīla Maharaj says, when his inner attainment is most closely detected, then we are bound to say that in the course of his eternal life, there is some possibility of his achieving Krishna. Christian, I don't understand. Guru Maharaj, is Jesus stagnant or progressive? Where he has reached, is that finished forever? Or is he dynamic? Christian says, Christians will say that he has full knowledge. Śrīla Maharaj. So he is stagnant there, finally fixed. Is that Jesus' position? Do the bishops say that his position is final? Does he have a progressive life? Or is Jesus alone barred from making further progress? Is he a member of the dynamic world or the stagnant world? So this is the nature of the infinite. Being finite, we are going to deal with the infinite. That is our ludicrous tendency. It is ludicrous for us to deal with the infinite. Why is Krishna considered to be the absolute truth? This you should inquire about in a scientific way, step by step. As I have recommended, you should go on reading about that in the Sri Krishna Samhita and the Brihad Bhagavatamrita. You should try to follow very minutely the dynamic development of theism as it is presented there.
How can we as practitioners... Wait.
That's my job.
How can we as practitioners ensure that our practice of Krishna consciousness is dynamic and progressive and not stagnant? too attached to the form rather than the substance?
Good question. Thank you.
I think it's a very good question. Yeah.
Obstacles help.
Shakti
Because-
Buddhi Hinamiyati. This is a very good question. You know, and this what's it called? Atmanic shape, is it? Internal examination. Oh, the Saltamani and the prayerful. You know, by prayer, really, we're praying to Gurudev and to understand that we are in the line of Mahaprabhu. I found a wonderful quote the other day, and it's very.
You're asking what's the
Sorry.
question?
Oh,
Sorry.
the question is, what was it again?
How can we as practitioners ensure that our practice of Krishna consciousness is dynamic and progressive rather than stagnant and overly concerned with the external?
Right. Well,
That was very fast.
no, that was good. That's what I wanted, the nutshell.
Yeah.
question.
But for them to hear it.
The question is how does we as practitioners know if our spiritual life has become stagnant or what was it?
How can we ensure it's positive?
Yes, how do
and
we know if we're
progressive?
falling into that? We want to be positive and progressive, and how, and which is a super question. It's a really good question. It's an important question, because everybody's prone to that and falling into a sort of a comfortable rut, and away from the dynamic living. So we have to meditate on that. And we have to pray about that. We want to. We don't want it to become that. And we got a little quote from Srila Guru Bhajira. I found this one this week. The essence of love, this is Guru Maharaj, the essence of love lives by distribution, not by absorption, but by distribution. That is love. Prema is that which exists by its tendency of distribution, and that is the highest. And Guru Maharaj. And then another sort of follows up with that. If you follow the path of surrender, real knowledge becomes your servant. Our tendency is always to think that this is something that's going to go in our brains and we're going to have some flashing lights and, you know, it's ludicrous. Guru Maharaj says it's ludicrous. And it's only by trying to serve that in a spirit of surrender, and what will be, however it will appear, and to try to distribute. And we're all trying to do that, and we all want to do that more, and we're applying ourselves to that. It just means sharing and putting yourself in positions where you can share. You know, this is Mahaprabhu's, this is Nityananda Prabhu's potency and power, and it's what they want, and this is how that divine substance is revealed. To the question, yeah, we just self-examination, they call it, don't they? I mean, I think we probably know it's becoming stale or becoming formulaic. Srila Govinda Maharaj and Srila Guru Maharaj were the experts of detecting that and being able to shake that from us a little bit. That, oh yes, now I know what Krishna consciousness is. You know, you have to look like this, you have to face the wall at this moment, you have to bow down at another one, you have to swing around 3 times when this is got, you know, all these things are all good. That's not what it is. That's just going through the motions. It's the internal how we face the environment, how to process it in all its complexity, all its living messiness, all that. That's the, and all these other things are to help to concentrate and adjust that. But by our nature as humans, and as you know, we have a tendency to get in the rut. And Guru Maharaj said, become sahajya. It's what it is. It's an imitation. It's just not the right thing. And then according to Guru Maharaj, then if we're that, then we will. That's all we can distribute to others. Is that? Yeah. We don't want to be distributing that to others, and we don't want it for ourselves. So, you know, an internal investigation is always good, and association with like-minded souls, and to infuse each other, and to face every day with some prayer, you know. So, and that was another. Shreyash has been full of wisdom today. When I asked him, I said to him earlier that it's what's the day again? What's the day?
Akshaya Tritiya.
Akshaya Tritiya. He said, I said to him, it's a day of new beginnings, but I don't know what to begin new today. You know, we've got some projects going on, but they're not really ready to kick off today. Can't really begin them today. And he said, well, it's a good day for renewing our commitment to savor and to so that was very good. You know, I'm taking that nice message. So it's not, we don't live in the Matrix movie. I mean, it's an old movie to reference now, but still, I think many of us have seen it. Because then you only had to do it once. You had the blue pill or the red pill, and you took the pill, and then you woke out of the dream, and off you went to the big rave in the sky. Don't ask me what that was all about. But in Krishna consciousness, you've got that choice all the time. And there was a guy in that movie, he didn't want to wake out of it, you know, he was eating his meat, and he was being explained to him, this is all a concoction. It's all driven by something, you know, that's not true. And he basically said, I don't care what he said. You know, I like it. I know it's not real, but so anyway, enough of that. Shall we go back to Sri Chaitanya? Let's try and finish this chapter and then have a little break.
Tiger has a question.
Who?
He's been commenting.
He's commenting.
Here we are.
Oh, I do have a question actually.
Who's that?
Go on, Tiger.
I mean, it's a bit more personal, but recently I'm like posting a lot on Instagram, and I'm just, you said you have to be constantly aware of Sahajiyism. Yeah, so how please could you help me bring that into my awareness? Because I don't want to become a Sahajiya, obviously.
Just keep coming to visit us.
Okay.
That's what we like. We love to see you here, Tiger, and we know that, you know, sometimes it's difficult to get away. Just keep coming, and it'll be wonderful. You know, Guru Maharaj said sincerity is invincible, and you are a sincere person. I'm sure of that. And this will be our safety, and in the association of the lovely devotees. Then we don't have to worry about that. It's not something that we should worry about. We just want it to be real, right? We want what we're doing to be real and alive and wonderful. We don't want it to be a show, right? Sorry, I'm looking there because Tiger is on this screen over here. I'm not ignoring you. I'm talking to Tiger over there. Anyway, we'll see you soon, bro. Okay, we're going to continue. We're going to continue because then it'd be break time. So where did we get to? Oh yeah, he's Guru Maharaj is saying, as I recommended, you should go on reading about that. That's the scientific exploration, inquiry into the absolute truth, who is Krishna. You should go on reading about that in the Sri Krishna Samhita and the Brihad Bhagavatamrita. You should try to follow very minutely the dynamic development of theism as it is presented there. And I did have sections of the Krishna Sangita I was thinking about reading, but not today. But wonderful. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur, all these things Guru Maharaj has been discussing, it goes straight to the heart of it all. Then the Christian has another question that will often come up. As I understand it, reincarnation means that a soul may regress into a lower species by performing sinful acts. But how does it benefit a soul to be punished by taking birth in the animal species if later he has no recollection of this? So it's a good question, and one we do get. And Guru Maharaj says, sometimes it is necessary for doctors to make a patient unconscious. Sometimes a dacoit is imprisoned and put under chains. When his movements will be detrimental to society, he is confined in a cell and chained. So sometimes it is necessary to take away one's independence, his voluntary action. By suffering the reaction to his previous karma, one may be relieved. And again, he may be given voluntary action. When by his voluntary will, a soul has done so many misdeeds and acquired so many reactions, it is necessary that his free will be stopped temporarily. He will be allowed to suffer the reactions of his previous sins. And then again, some freedom will be given to him so that he may take the proper course which is useful for him. As long as a drunkard is a drunkard, when he is expected to do some mischief to the environment, he should be confined. And when the madness of drinking is gone, then he will be released and allowed to move freely. I just want to make one point about sometimes when we're reading that Suvasini Didi made last week. Oh, down about Suvasini Didi. Happy you're here. Wonderful. Because I can't remember exactly what it was, but we were reading last week something, and the kind of shape of the conversation just seemed to take a little turn somewhat. It wasn't very clear. And Suvasini pointed out the fact that these are all the words of Guru Maharaj, but it wasn't one conversation. And she was recalling how Mahayogi Maharaj had told her how difficult it was because they had so many tapes and they're trying to find the sections where Guru Maharaj was talking about reincarnation or whatever it was and extract those pieces and then to shape them into the book. It's all Guru Maharaj's words and it's all from conversation. But sometimes in a piece, this was from one conversation and this was for another conversation. So sometimes you can detect that doesn't quite follow on. It's like we missed a little bit somewhere. And it's that's why. It's because these conversations have been very beautifully put together with a lot of a labor of love. To do that, gift to the world, and Guru Maharaj called these books deities. So, but that sometimes happens, and you think, oh, we just sort of moved from a subject without any kind of segue, and we sort of did that there. We went from quite anyway, but it's also questions, and with questions, you never know where you're going to go. You know, it would happen anyway. So. So now Guru Maharaj is developing that point about thanks, Prabhu. Oh no, Christian asks a question. Christians generally don't accept that animals have souls. Guru Maharaj. Jesus did not care to bring his followers within that conception. He saw that they were accustomed to eating animals and fish. So he did not want to embarrass them with all those questions. He thought that they should begin theistic life, and when again they are able to consider these points, at that time they may be given this installment. Life is also present within the non-human species, and it is no less qualified than the human position. But in the course of the evolutionary movement of the soul, it is thrown into such a condition as the result of karma. Wherever life is present, the soul is there within. It's a common thing, but Jesus thought it would be impossible for them to adjust their understanding of the environment to such a degree. He thought to let them begin with the culture of theism, and then gradually such instruction could be given. He told them, "Do unto others as you would have them do to you." That's also good. But not only is the soul present there, God is also there and everywhere. The lower species are also feeling pain and pleasure. In animals, it is quite clear that when they are killed, they feel pain. So there is life. The vibration of pain is there. Consciousness is there. And the soul is a unit of pure consciousness. But the persons to whom Jesus preached were not so qualified as to extend their knowledge that far. They are not prepared for such a great amount of sacrifice in their practices. So for those who are not prepared to sacrifice themselves to such an extent, Christianity has been given by Jesus. Still, everything has been ordained from the same common center. So, still, everything has been ordained from the same common center. Christianity has its necessity. Islam also has its necessity. There is room for such creeds in the universe. They are not unnecessary, but they hold a relative position. Then, what is the position of the absolute truth? When we have to inquire deeply about this, then we come to India. There it has been dealt with very extensively with all possible conceptions of religion. So many variegated theological conceptions are found in India that a fraction of that cannot be found anywhere else in the world. But ultimately, Srimad Bhagavatam was given as the highest conception. How? That we have to understand and follow very minutely. You should study the Brihad Bhagavatamrita and its more modern form, Sri Krishna Samhita by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Christian, I've read that. Srila, but you must read it more closely and more scrutinizingly. You must read that again and again until you find satisfaction and answers to all your inquiries. There, the gradation of our relationship with God is shown, explaining how from a particular stage of theism, one is forced to progress to a higher level of attainment. Hare Krishna, wonderful, 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 wonderful. And it just goes on, levels of God realization. Next one, starting with talking more about Sri Brihad Bhagavatamrita. But it's break time. Are we going to break or are we going to go? What are we going to do?
Break.
Yeah, I think we should, because this is this is week 5, right? It's week 5. And we're about halfway. Okay, we'll have a break and then we'll just do 2 or 3 pages. We'll just make a start. It's not ideal to do that, but it's inevitable.
There are some questions.
Oh, there's some questions?
Yeah. You want to have a break first or take
Break.
Okay, we'll have
Yeah.
a break. So we can, yes, we can have a break.
Break.
Hey, that was the quickest 7 minutes we ever experienced. So we've got some hands up. So I only want to, we'll keep going for another 10 or 15 minutes, something like that. it would be good to make a little start on the next chapter, because we're halfway through our 10-week allocation now, and we're halfway through the book, so we'll keep going. But there's some questions here in the studio.
Yes, we have another anonymous question by Shreyash Prabhu.
Oh, Saraswati did it.
So he's saying, when we're distributing the glories of the holy name and Harinam with people of different degrees of awakening, how should we navigate such conversations?
Brilliant question. This is an anonymous question.
From Shreyash
From Shreyash
Prabhu.
Prabhu. Another anonymous question from Shreyash Prabhu, who has some of the best anonymous questions, I have to say. Beautiful question. How do we answer that? Holy Baba. You know, it's like the supreme art, isn't it? The heart transaction and being awake enough and prayerful enough to remember Gurudev and to be ourselves and to connect with all different kinds of people in all different kinds of situations and do our best to impart something good. It may be explicit, it may be less explicit, it may be just cultivating friendship without even mentioning anything about spiritual life. All those things can be there. And Srila Govinda Maharaj, that was his policy. He made everybody his friend. Someone's your friend, then they'll be more inclined to listen to what you have to say about your spiritual practice and what motivates you and what you find exciting and fulfilling and beautiful. So that's primary affection. When we go to the temple of love and affection of the Samadhi of Srila Govinda Maharaj, so beautiful, the temple of love and affection. So these things are not peripheral, these things are central, primary, and then we do what we can. And if we're, and that's in our daily lives, you can say, with the people we meet and relate to on a daily basis. We meet at work, we meet in the various places that we go to in our lives, the people we meet there with family and with others. I mean, like my own mother, I never preached Krishna consciousness to her. It would have, she was much more sincere spiritual practitioner, and had full, firm faith and very, very respectable lady. But over time, she although she never fully understood Krishna consciousness, she could see that it was good because I was, doing well in life and happy and healthy and not falling into all these things. And so sometimes it's like that, especially with family and those. I mean, that's not true of every family. Some people's parents become devotees, and that also happens, but everybody's at a different stage of development. As the sort of question implies, that's what makes it alive. There's no definitive answer. This is what, otherwise we'd all be doing it. If there was a script like you have in the call center, you have a script. When somebody calls in and says, whatever it is broken, you say to them, have you tried resetting it? No. Have you tried this? No. Have you tried that? And you work your way through the list, but we don't have a script like that. That doesn't mean to say there aren't some techniques and things you can try, but for the most part, we just have to, we're relying on the Lord, aren't we, ultimately? We are just the instrument. This is Nityananda Mahaprabhu's mission, Gurudev's mission, but it's just having the courage to put ourselves there, really. And it won't always look how you think it'll look. Like at one point I was working in Sweet Lake City, and I used to come into work early, and it was already early, so I'd get to work maybe at 5:30 or 20 to 6, and there was 20 minutes before we started, so I'd get a cup of coffee and be sitting down. And there was another lad who worked there who was a Mormon, LDS as they call them, Latter-day Saint. And we used to have wonderful conversations in that before work started. And as often happens when you talk with faithful people, you find far more areas of commonality than you do difference, at least as Guru Maharaj is saying, in the basic stages of faith in God and surrender to God and not those things. And when I left that job, he sent me such a sweet email, and he said, "Oh, I've really enjoyed I've really enjoyed our conversations. It's made me want to be a better Mormon. You know, I want to do better." And I took that as I was so happy. It was so sweet. I thought, well, that's a good thing, you know. Not everybody's gonna just become a Hare Krishna overnight, right? We want everybody to be uplifted. That's why all these different faiths and philosophical positions exist. As Guru Maharaj was saying, they're not unnecessary. There's a place for them. But wherever we are, we want to be sincere. We want to stress the fundamentals, like in Christianity, like in Vaishnavism, like so many. There is a God. You are his servant. I am his servant. And this should be a central part of our lives. Should be the central part of our lives, but should be in our lives somewhere, that idea. And then amongst those people who can resonate with that, someone may say, yeah, well, I've often wondered, in Christianity, it's always, God's always just man, he. What happened to she? And then immediately you've got someone here who's not satisfied. With them, that little movement started. What about the female part? Then we can help with that. So yeah, it's so relationships are always alive and can be complicated, because we're living people. So everybody has to, we have to be aware, but we want to be conscious, because if we're conscious, there may be a chance we can work towards Krishna consciousness. If we're not even conscious, switch stop, watch the football, drink the beer, play the video game, eat the burger, all the things that people do just to go down, just to turn it off. But if we are trying to be conscious, then we can do something by the grace, because that's another wonderful thing. It's not all up to us, and it's definitely true. Sometimes you can say things that you don't even. Krishna works his own magic. And you may have said something that wasn't. You think, oh, that wasn't very perfect thing to say, or it's not what I meant to say, or I wasn't very satisfied with what I said on this particular occasion. But the other person's all dancing around and they're all happy. And conversely, you can think you just said the best little thing ever, and it just washes right off. You didn't convince anybody by your flowery words. So there's that as well. But at least making that effort is and then we think Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Prabhu, Gurudev will be happy with that. And then the result, like always, the result is up to him, but we just have to do our thing. And that quote is just so wonderful from Guru Maharaj that we read before. The essence of love lives by distribution, not by absorption, but by distribution. That is love. Prema is that which exists by its tendency of distribution. That is the highest. Hare Krishna. too much chamatkar. Good, good, good. Ready for a
I
cup?
want to say one thing that we have seen in a temple setting, how they making a connection with them initially is very good, like a friendship.
Yes.
And that's how people develop that relationship, and they want to come back again.
Yeah.
Not just arriving and immediately like heavy preaching.
Listen, there's demons in devotees.
It doesn't work. But we have seen how they keep coming back because you have developed some friendly relationship with them first, and then gradually, then you can present other, concepts to them eventually. But that's how we have one family that the little girl, she just wants to bring her parents all the time here. She found some kind of, I don't know, like her home. She brings them, and so they also feel like, oh, she has a connection with them. I also want to figure out why is that connection.
Well, she likes to come and see you, Didi.
No, but she does.
It's true.
Like to see the babies, and they keep coming. So I think that's very important to make some friendly relationship with everyone.
It was Gurudev's method.
Yeah.
We can't go wrong.
Love and affection conquers everything.
Joy. Wonderful. Yes, wonderful to hear that from Saraswati Didi. Reiterating Srila Govinda Maharaj's way. He's shown us in every way how to be, and how to be in the environment and with all the people in it. And so we want to the best of our ability, to be awake and attentive and ready for that. Okay, so if we've got
we might need to read a bit.
I just have one statement.
Statement, anonymous statement.
You have to come closer. It's easier.
Because all the breakfast.
Because of the.
I mean, it's nothing important. I mean, I was just saying. I think a sense of service. I think that's quite prevalent when, especially you're talking to people who visit the temple a lot. I think sense of service is quite a great propeller for, and also visitors, to create a stronger sense of connection to the Lord. So I think that's, again, one thing which I feel is quite impactful, especially in the West London Temple, because we do food banks on the Saturday.
Yes.
We create direct impact in the society, which can be quite maintained on the West Side.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think sense of service, I think, is quite a benefactor. Anyway, sorry.
No, that's wonderful. That's
Did they hear it?
I don't think Harry goes parkour it.
Shaish Prabhu was talking about service connection, and by hook or by crook. And it's good. People want to do something, whether so just by hook or by crook to engage. And this is more in a temple setting, but we're here in a temple. It can be simple things. Oh yes, Prabhu, can you and distribute these meals that have been prepared, or help in the kitchen with the washing the pots, or whatever it may be. So many things and that breeds and engenders a sense of community, a sense of purpose, a sense of even without realizing what is actually happening. Very danger. Very danger. Devotional service. That's also bonding. And we know that in those services, digging the hole in the garden or standing at the sink washing pots with the devotees is a very bonding time, and share the conversations you have, and the closeness. You develop relationships by those things. So that's a good point. So anyway, by hook or by crook, there's so many things, but above all, by love and affection, in the line of Srila Govinda Maharaj, Srila Guru Maharaj, then love conquers all, and anything is possible then by the grace, Okay, any more questions? What time is it? It's already 10 to. Are we going to start a chapter or are we going to leave it there? This is my question.
3 pages.
3 pages?
Yeah. 2.5 pages until the end of the.
Okay, to neutral love for God, this first introductory section.
Yes.
It's about 3 pages.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll just make a start. It is Akshaya Tirthi. So we're making a start on a new chapter, and it will be all auspicious for next week. And the rest of the year, the rest of our lives, at least until the next Tirthi. Okay. It was an amazing place to carry on anyway, because Guru Maharaj has just been saying, you need to read it more closely. He's talking about Srimad Bhagavatam, Sri Krishna Samhita. And yes, I've read that, but you need to read it again and more closely. And it's the same with all our books, really. Oh yeah, I've read such a Sri Krishna. Yeah, you need to read it again and more closely. And we'll continue to do that. And Gurudev said with Bhagavad Gita, I've been reading it for my whole life. And still it's revealing to me. I'm finding new meaning because it's infinite. So this chapter is called Levels of God Realization, and we'll just make a start. The gradation of transcendental realization has been explained by Srila Sanatana Goswāmī in his book Brihad Bhagavatamrita. There we find that in the course of the realization of Shuddha Bhakti, pure devotional service, the great sage Narada Muni is visiting different places. First he encounters Kama Mishra Bhakti, or devotional service mixed with fruitive activities. Once there was a Brahman in Allahabad, which is now called, gone back to its old name, Prayagraj. He was a wealthy man, and on the occasion of the Kumbh Mela, when millions of sages and devotees gather for a religious festival, he arranged for services to the different types of saintly persons who were present there. He conducted a sacrifice and finally finished the function with the chanting of the holy name of the Lord. The Brahmin was mainly engaged in karma kanda, or fruitive work, but he was also rendering service to the saintly persons. Ultimately, he ended everything with Nam Sankirtan, the chanting of the holy names of the Lord. Narada Muni approached the Brahmin, saying, you are very fortunate that you are doing these things. This is the proper utilization of your money and caste. By engaging in such holy activities, you are certainly most fortunate. The Brahmin told him, what am I doing? This is nothing. You should go to see the fortune of King Indrajumna. He is distributing the prasad remnants of Lord Jagannath in a grand style. How grandiose is the worship of Narayan there. Go there, and you will appreciate his devotional service. So Narada Muni went to see Indrajumna Maharaj, and there he also found the king extensively engaging all his resources in the worship of Lord Jagannath. Narada approached him, saying, you are so fortunate in this world. The king told him, what can I do, Narada? This is nothing. If you want to see how devotional service should be practiced, you should go to Lord Indra, the king of heaven. Narada Muni went to Indradev and praised him by saying, oh Indra, you are very fortunate. Vamandev, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, appeared as your younger brother. And here in Indraloka, there are always religious festivals worshipping Krishna. Indra said, "Oh, what do you say? What love have I for Krishna? Everything belongs to him, but in my foolishness, I tried to prevent him from taking the Parijata tree from heaven. Not only that, but I am always being attacked by the demons, and my wife is also sometimes disturbed. What fortune do you find in me?" From Indra, Narada went to Lord Brahma, the creator of the universe. There he found the personified Vedas singing praise to Lord Brahma. Narada, who was also his son and disciple, approached Lord Brahma, saying, "How greatly fortunate you are. You are entrusted by Lord Narayan himself with the management of the whole universe. And sometimes you visit him for guidance in the administration of the universe. We also find that some portions of the Vedas are engaged in singing your glories. You are so fortunate." Lord Brahma felt a little disturbed. He said, "What are you saying, Narada? You are praising me and increasing my false pride. But did I not tell you that I am nothing but a small creature in the hand of Narayan? I am engaged in external activity. I have no time to give in the interest of my devotional life. My Lord has rather deceived me by engaging me in such a busy matter as managing the universe." And we see how busy Shoshrati is just trying to run his temple. What to speak of a universe? I am most unfortunate. Rather, you should go to Mahadev, Lord Shiva. He does not care for anything in this world. He is aloof and indifferent and has his aim toward Lord Narayan. He's devoted to Lord Ramachandra, and he is very fond of the holy name of Lord Ram. His wife, Parvati Devi, is also helping him in his devotional life. She is very happy. Narada Muni went to Shiva Loka and began to chant in praise of Lord Shiva. "You are the master of the world. The Vedas sing your glories. You hold the highest position." In this way, Narada began to glorify him, but Lord Shiva became very excited and a little angry at this. "What are you saying, Narada? I have so much indifference toward this world that I am mainly interested in knowledge and penance. This holds the better portion of my interest. Whatever little inclination I have for devotional service to Narayan is very negligible. Sometimes I have such an apathetic spirit toward Narayan that I even fight with him in favor of one of my disciples. I'm disgusted with my position. Penance, power, mystic yoga perfection, and indifference to the world. That is my business." This is, and then Guru Maharaj continues, "This is Jnana Mishra Bhakti, devotional service mixed with empiric, speculative knowledge. Lord Brahma is the ideal of Karma Mishra Bhakti, or devotional service mixed with fruitive activity. And Lord Shiva is the ideal of Jnana Mishra Bhakti. He still maintains some affinity for an independent position and not for 100% acceptance of service to the Supreme Lord Narayan. So Lord Shiva said, if you really want to experience Shuddha Bhakti, pure devotion, go to Prahlad Maharaj. There you will find pure devotional service." So Guru Maharaj says, in this way we have been directed to trace the development of Shuddha Bhakti, pure devotional service, beginning with Prahlad Maharaj, because Prahlad does not want anything in exchange for his devotional service. In Srimad Bhagavatam, he says, Nanyata te kila guru gateta karunatmanaha yasta ashisha asha ashaste nasa britya savaivanik. Whoever is doing something for the satisfaction of Narayan and wants something in return is not a servant, but a merchant. He wants to give something to the Lord and then take some price in exchange for that. So Prahlad Maharaj is a pure devotee, and only through a pure devotee of Narayan can one attain pure devotion. All these peculiar achievements in the devotional world begin with Prahlad Maharaj. Nature of his devotional service is that of Shanta Rasa, neutrality, where there's no actual service, but only perfect adherence to Narayan under all circumstances. Whatever may be the unfavorable condition in the environment, he stands true to the faith that Narayan is all in all and that he is our master. So Prahlad Maharaj and the four Kumaras, the sons of Lord Brahma, are in the position of Shantarasa Bhakti, or neutral love of God. Prahlad Maharaj is Narada Muni's disciple. Still, for our benefit, Narada Muni was approaching him to measure the standard of his devotion in a comparative study of the devotional world. Approaching Prahlad Maharaj, Narad said, I have come to see you, Prahlad, because Lord Shiva also appreciates your position. You are really a devotee of Lord Krishna. You are so fortunate. I have come to see how you are. Prahlad Maharaj told him, Oh, Gurudev, you are all in all. Have you come to test me? Whatever fortune I may have, I have received by your grace. I was born in a family of demons, so the demonic qualities have not exclusively left me. Don't you know that in Namasharanya I went to fight with Lord Vishnu? I repent for that, but what can I do? He has given me such a position. I cannot have the privilege of direct service to him, but only mentally I think of him. I think that he is everything, but I do not have the great fortune of rendering service to him. Hanuman is really a great devotee. How fortunate he is! What grace he has received. He gave everything to Lord Ramachandra. I envy his situation, but what can I do? God's dispensation is absolute. We must accept that. Hanuman's position is really enviable. How attached to his master he is, and what a great magnitude of service he has done for Lord Ram. Hare Krishna. And there we can leave it, just on our way to through this chain of to this progression of progressive substance to meet with Hanumanji next week. So yeah, we better have a last check-in. Anything from anyone? Otherwise, we shall leave it there. Tutto bene.
Tutto bene.
Duże dobre. Очень хорошо. And muito bon. Muito bon. Muito, yeah, something like that. Oh, so many lovely faces. My Dandavat to you all. Jai Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev-Goswāmī Maharaj ki jai.
Jai.
Jai Srila Bhakti Rakak Śrīdhar Dev-Goswāmī Maharaj ki jai.
Jai.
Jai Bhagavan Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Shri Rupa Nuga Guru Varga ki jai.
Jai.
And Sri Chaitanya Shashwat Acharya Vrinda ki jai, Shri Bhakti Ranjan Madhusudha Maharaj ki jai, Tuti devotee ki jai, Tuti translator ki jai, Vancha kalpatarubhyascha, Kripa sindhubhya eva cha, Patitanam pavanebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo, Namo Namaha. Wonderful to be with you all. Super wonderful. We'll see you soon.